I feel like I had to really pull myself away from watching the Olympics to film this video because I've been watching all of the clips. I think it's on NBC Sports and I am loving it. But I'm really excited to also like film this video and chat about everything that I read last month. Hello friends, happy Friday. It is my monthly reading wrap up. I'm gonna talk about everything that I read in the month of July, and I feel so disorganized because typically before I film these videos, I try and have like my reading journal pages set up where I mark down all the books I read, the amount I read, what books I guess I bought that month as well, but what I was saying books I dropped, but typically I don't really write that. Usually not really, but anyway, I think I read 29 volumes last month, I think, if I counted right. And I feel like every time I come on here, like, it has this X amount number, I'm always wrong. So I'm a little bit hesitant, but for now, I'm gonna go with 29. I guess I'll put it in the corner if I did miscount here. I did read a few digital things because, you know, we did have plenty of license announcements this past month. One of them that I read was Kill the Villainess, and I read chapters 1 through 20. I didn't plan to read that much of this specific manhwa. It was licensed by Eyes Press, and I have not been able to stop thinking about this. I feel like I mentioned it in a previous video. Maybe it was the one about the license of this manhwa. I mentioned, I believe in that video, saying that I probably was not going to get this physically, but I feel like that has changed since I have continuously thought about it. It's a very unique villainous isekai kind of story, and I'll leave a link in the corner if you want to hear actual like more fresh thoughts since it's been a while and read this near the beginning of the month. But I enjoyed it. It is, I feel like, a little bit darker for me when it comes to villainous manhwa. Not in a bad way, but I mean, our main girl really doesn't want to be here anymore. She doesn't want to be in this story. She doesn't want to live out the life that was in the original either novel or otome game, and she's like, I'll do whatever it takes so that I'm not here anymore. So I felt like that really left more of a sober kind of tone on the overall story. Like, not in a bad way, it's just different than what I usually read, but man, I have not been able to stop thinking about it and want to know what happens next. So most likely, yes, I will be getting this physically so I could read ahead. Or, I mean, so I could keep reading because I don't want to pay for ink on Tapas so I can read ahead. I feel bad in this next one because I don't remember nothing, and I literally just skimmed over it the other day for my latest top 5 Wednesday video about basically fun at the beach, and that is Natsume Natsume Volume 2. I read this on Azuki and I didn't super love it, but that was only because it had been so long since I read Volume 1, and outside of the two main leads, I didn't remember who anybody else was at all. And I was like, I feel really, really bad because I just didn't. I mean, I liked what happened in this volume, but I need to go back and reread Volume 1. Like, that was my ultimate takeaway of like, it's been too long, you need to go back, because the main guy, he's very, very cute. I love his face, which sounds weird, but he has a really cool, interesting face. I'll leave it here so you can see what I mean. And the girl is really cool. I did like this new character. I think he's a new character that pops up, and sort of like the struggle that he has. He was very interesting. So I would be interested in reading more, but I gotta reread Volume 1 first before I even think about reading Volume 3. I got a lot of thoughts on this next one. I think I read chapters 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, and that's I Tamed My Ex-Husband's Mad Dog. Okay, so when I read chapters 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, I can't read how small my font is on my computer screen. I loved it. It left a very strong impression on me, and I felt it was the greatest of the manhwa licenses that we had. But then I went online and I heard some things. I was told some things. Now I'm going to say spoilers here. I will not go in depth about them because this manhwa lost the main female lead. As cool and amazing as she was in the first 3 chapters, I lost all respect for this woman. Like, none, not a we're gone. Like, I'm done with this lady. So spoilers here, spoilers ahead. I'll make the screen gray and I'll say when spoilers are over. The reason I will not recommend this, the reason I will not go forward with this story is because later on, much later, I don't know how far ahead, but the main female lead actually physically abuses her children, and I don't do that. I don't put up with that. That is unacceptable. There is no kind of justification for a heroine or hero to ever do this. Spoilers over now. So because of that, I'm not continuing this. Again, all respect I had for out the window. Done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. On the flip side for this next one, if you need something that has a good relationship with younger characters, The Emperor's Caretaker, I read chapters 1 through 10, which I believe is sort of low-key the first volume. Now, I shared earlier in maybe the same video with Kill the Villainess that I wasn't sold on that first chapter when I tried it. I actually had to, I don't remember what the coin system or whatever it is for the Manga Up app, but I had to pay ahead basically to read more, and I'm glad that I did because I actually really enjoyed it. That's why I went to chapter 10, and I remember enjoying this so much that I had a hard time reading something else because I just want to keep reading more of this. It was very wonderful. I love the main female lead, and I love the Emperor himself. I love who seems to be the love interest. It's not overwhelming in the politics, so I felt that I was comfortable with it, because if it gets too much, then I feel really dizzy, like that dizzy emoji. I feel that hardcore, and so I didn't feel it would be too bad. I'm very, very excited for this. I definitely am going to be picking it up physically. The next one is Daughter of a Thousand Faces. It got a physical license announcement from Inklore, and I think it comes out like 2026. I'm like, Inklore, I can't even think that far ahead. Like, just stick with 2025, please. I read chapters 1 through 5. I liked it, but I wasn't like super gung-ho to continue it. I don't think it was bad. The art is absolutely beautiful. Like, I mean, I'm like, if I were to buy this to read more, it would definitely be because of the art, because it was just so stunning. I feel like the bad guy, the antagonist, not really sure what he would be called. I feel like maybe he was a little bit too, not spooky, but I don't know. He didn't sit right with me or sit well with me. Once I got to the point where I couldn't read anymore unless I like unlocked it with coins or whatever, it just didn't sit well with me. I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on what it was. I thought the characters, before we met like the bad guy antagonist person, that I thought they were all really interesting. I didn't like one of the sisters though. Oh my gosh, I did not like her, period. But the main heroine, my heart really went out to her, and how much is weighing on her. So I don't know. I feel like maybe this is one that I could maybe like continue. I don't see myself picking it up physically, but I could see myself coming back and reading this digitally. And then I know of that was everything that I read digitally, and it was really cool because ultimately I read a lot of good things this month, but for the number one favorite thing that I read, I am going with Queen's Quality Volume 19. When I think of the most physical and just most strongest emotional reaction, nothing comes close to Queen's Quality. Oh my goodness, I felt physically nauseous reading this volume. Plant horror was a thing, and I was just like, oh my goodness, Fumi, you are incredible. Like, I reread a little bit of this morning. The ending just brought tears to my eyes, and I'm like, girl, just Kyutaro, thank you that you're in her life and can comfort her right now because she needs some comfort. But oh, this one male character, I was livid. I was enraged at this character, and I don't know what to say because I feel like I'm sounding like a bad person, anything else. However, I finished that sentence, but I thought very not good thoughts towards that character, and I'm just like, please get this man off the page. Get this man off the page. I really feel like because I had the most strongest emotional reaction, physical and mental, Queen's Quality, saying it's the best or my favorite read of this month, but there were so many other good things that I read this month as well, but I really feel like this was the number one that I would say so very good, and I need the next volume ASAP, and I hope things calm down for Fumi because the creator was just, she was not nice to Fumi. She was not nice. Next up was 7 Time Loop Volume 5 of the manga. I did not love this volume. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't love it as much as previous volumes, and I don't know what it is. I went back and I was skimming over this, and I'm like, what was it that just didn't have me racing to go check when the next pre-order release date is for the next volume? And I don't know. Maybe I feel like Arnold, you see a lot of his character that I feel like has been very different of what we've seen of him thus far. We've heard the rumors. We've heard how he's supposed to be, but I feel like maybe this was the first time that we saw those rumors in reality. And I think I just didn't know how to cope with that, to be honest. I think ultimately that's what it came down to, because I'm like, I love these characters. They're amazing. It's been an incredible manga. I mean, it's one of the few anime that I actually kept up with. So I feel like this is a series I really love, but I just felt conflicted of the things that come out in this volume. But the ending definitely sold me. The balcony scene was everything. And I'm glad that Arnold found out the secret about our main girl concerning the cadet training. That was really good. I love seeing seeing Theodore again. He was great. Finding out what one of her past lives were, like her job, was very interesting, especially when it came to the person like her teacher. He's a little, I don't know if scary is the right word, but I was like, I feel a little bit uncomfortable around this man, and I feel like you should be on guard around him. I'm pretty confident I'm going to continue this series because I feel like I felt conflicted about Arnold, and I'm like, girl, please save this man, let everything be okay, because I need this to have a happy ending. Now, when I said Queen's Quality was my favorite read, this was one of the volumes that made me like seriously think, okay, really was Queen's Quality my favorite? And I read The Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent Volume 9 of the manga. This volume was so magical. I don't even know how else to explain except it was beautiful, vibrant. I mean, it's black and white, but surely there was color that was happening. There's not, but surely it felt like the scene at the ball just felt like colorized to me. It really, maybe that doesn't make sense, but it felt very vibrant. And I'm like, it's just black and white, but I'm like, that's the only word I could think of is vibrant and magical to describe what happens in the first half of this volume. I loved it so very much. I was like, I need to go watch the anime specifically for this scene because I loved it that much. It was absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to see what happens next because there was quite the interesting development. And I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I'm here for it. Really continue to love this series very, very much. And the drought is over. Snow White the Red Hair, volume 26. We got it in print. I was so excited, so very happy. I mean, this series has returned from hiatus. I gushed about it, how it was one of the best news that has happened recently. Was flipping through this volume again this morning. Deeply, deeply enjoyed it, even though I was so heartbroken that I'm like, it's so short, and I could put it in comparison to Queen's Quality. They look the same, but I swear this volume felt so much more tinier, and I'm like, I need more of these characters, and was very crushed at first, but the bonus chapter, hello, that bonus chapter, it made up, and I was like, I'm okay, my heart feels better. I did cry at the beginning of this volume because of a new development that happens. Yes, I felt like it needed to happen for this specific character, but was I was happy and sad all at the same time. I felt very emotional about it. And then of course we have Shirayuki and Zen being together, and I had a lot of feelings. That was absolutely wonderful. It was so good, and the bonus chapter again was everything. This volume, 5 out of 5 stars for sure. Loved it. Another contender of like, I feel like this is my favorite read of this month, but again, it just didn't hit that emotional response quite the same way that Queen's Quality did, but it was still a very fantastic volume. And oh my goodness, I read my first light novel in probably like 2-3 years, and that is The Villainess is the Heroine's Biggest Fan, volume 1. I have already bought and have it on my TBR, volumes 2 and 3, because I deeply, deeply enjoyed this. I should have skimmed through it. I was about to show you guys pictures, but it's just words. And my husband's like, oh, you're reading a novel? And I'm like, I'm reading words. There's no pictures, period, except for the pretty cover. But this was so much fun. I am blanking on what to say. I really love the written review I wrote on Goodreads, so I might just leave a link down below if you're really curious for like more in-depth thoughts. I did find this very fun and unique because our main girl cannot control her mouth, which was not nice when it was the like original Villainess before she's like isekai'd, reincarnated into this girl. It created a bunch of funny shenanigans, and I love the heroine so very much. She is so sweet, and I was not expecting there to be a music element to this. It was very, very enjoyable, and I am looking forward to the time, like a day where I can just straight binge read that volume, because I think I read this in 2 days. I read an overwhelming amount the first day, and then like I think the next morning I finished it up. So very good. I am eagerly again looking forward to reading the next 2 volumes that I have. All of the cast of characters were fantastic. The writing was really good, and I had a great time reading this and excited to read more. I'm really sad that this is over, and that is Twisted-Wonderland. Now, granted, this is only one of the books from the game, so there is plenty more. We already got the Savannah Claw manga that's coming. Very excited, but this was a very strong, beautiful ending. I mean, there was a lot of intensity, and I probably shouldn't show anything else because I don't want to give spoilers, but I loved seeing a flashback that happened here, trying to find a really cute, like, look at them. Look how precious and adorable they look as kids. They were so cute. It was very, very touching, and I really, really enjoyed this volume. The action scenes were extremely intense. Riddle's overblot form, absolutely incredible. I mean, I had tears in my eyes when it ended, and loved every single moment of this. I really feel like this is such a great companion. Is that the right word I'm looking for? But I felt like this just really brings the game to life in such a special way. Like, if you're a fan of the game Twisted-Wonderland, you really need to read the manga because it brought scenes to life with so much more emotion, so much heart, and so much depth. I'm very, very thankful that Viz Media licensed this. I have the light novel on my TBR, y'all. I'm so excited to read it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So I know that I'll be able to read more of this story. I really loved it. Deuce is one of my best boys. He's amazing. But it was fantastic. Would highly recommend. I continue to only follow basically one shonen manga outside of Twisted-Wonderland, and that's Kaiju number 8, and I read volume 10. What is there to say? Except for this series is phenomenal. Every single volume leaves me on the edge of my seat, holding my breath, but this is the one time I feel like I've never felt something like this. Things are getting better, and then they get worse, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's really bad right now, and there's great things happening, but I'm like, where is Kafka? I'm like, where is the hero? This is the time. We need a hero. He needs to show up right now because our people up in here, they need a hero. And it was just very cool to feel that as a reader, because even though I like watched My Hero Academia, I never had that vivid moment of thinking, we need a hero. We need a hero right now. And even when I was flipping through this, I still felt very strongly. So I'm loving this series. It continues to get better and better. The stakes get so much higher every volume. And I'm like, how? How can the stakes get higher? I loved everything with our girl here. Oh my goodness. When things were happening in this battle that she's specifically in, so incredibly good. I can't say more because I will go into spoilers, but it was one of the best fights I've seen in the progression of her skills and her ability. It was amazing, and I can't recommend the series enough. I continue to deeply love it every single time I get a new volume, and this one was no exception. I was a little bit disappointed by this one, and that's when I became a commoner. They broke off our engagement volume 3, and I feel like I felt disappointed because the one thing I wanted, the one thing I expected from this volume did not happen until the very end. I was very bummed by that. Was it a bad volume? Definitely not. I'm gonna keep reading the series because volume 1, I felt the same way. I gave it 3 stars, and like, this is not what I thought it was, and then I read volume 2, glowing 5 stars, couldn't get enough of it, and then volume 3, I think I gave it 4 stars because the story itself is really good. And I was looking back through this morning, like, oh yeah, I'm like, this is still really good. I want to come back and reread it with fresh eyes and know what's coming. I'm so thankful that where is he? I forget his name. It starts with a K, but the little fairy guy right here, I'm so thankful he is with our girl here because she's so strong, and I admire her strength and her positive attitude. And I'm like, please let everything work out moving forward. I don't know where this story is gonna go, but I'm here, I'm seated, and I hope it doesn't break my heart in the process. This volume, I feel bad, and that is See You in My 19th Life, volume 3, and I don't remember anything, and I feel really bad. I decided not to continue physically with this series. I do like it, I do enjoy it, but I'm gonna read it on the app because I feel like I'm struggling in that it's good. I like it, but I'm very impatient, and I want to see the leads get together, and I'm not willing to wait. I think this series is like over 10 volumes, and I'm not willing to wait to see that unfold at the pace that the physicals are releasing. And I'm like, I don't like coming back into this series and not remembering anything that happened. And that happened with me going into this one. I'm like, I had to reread volume 2 or at least skim read it to have a solid idea of what was coming in this one. So I know that's a me issue and not a story issue. I did like that our main girl, we are seeing her be, I think more bold would be the right word to say, more bold in her actions, and that the romance really does seem like it's going to be unfolding soon. So it's not like I want to drop it and be done with it, but I don't like that the pace of these physicals are coming out. I need to read it on the app so I can just binge read all of it. I'm pretty sure this is on Fast Pass, so I'd have to like wait, what, every 24 hours or something. But I'm like, I can handle that. I can handle that, but I can't handle these 3 months waiting for these volumes. Oh my goodness. If we were to say what manga was my favorite based on the amount of times I reread it, hands down, it was me Daily Report About My Witch Senpai volume 3. This volume was everything. It was the perfect comeback, the perfect sequel to the first 2 volumes. I am thankful that somebody did give me a low-key spoiler. I'm not going to say it here, but I feel like it did have my expectations in the right place. So I really, really enjoyed it and knew what was coming in that regard. Still a wonderful surprise, but it was amazing. It was another magical read that made me so happy. I believe I've reread this like 2-3 times already just this month alone because it has just been, in July, excuse me, it has been so very wonderful, and I'm so thankful that 7 Seas printed this. Like, I'm deeply thankful because coming back and seeing these characters, it was everything. It was everything. So if you are sort of like, I don't think I'm gonna like what happens past volume 2 because volume 2 had a good ending, you you may not feel like you will want more, but when you read this, you're like, wow, this is what I wanted more of. I feel like the best thing I could say about it is I loved how it really is able to show their relationship, and that, yes, I feel like in shoujo manga we will see two characters' relationship, but this one expands it and takes it more slower, sort of like a sign of affection, and then you're really seeing all them take these steps forward of saying like moving in together, learning like what is the other person's hobbies and their interests, and them finding hobbies that the other person can connect with. I really felt like it just showed all of these beautiful and great aspects of a relationship when you're with a partner that you deeply cherish and you deeply love. It was wonderful. I loved every single page. I will be rereading this again. Next up is Sweet Sweet Uka of Honey Lemon Soda Volume 6. I cried at the beginning of this volume. It was the perfect wrap up to all of the events that have been happening in the recent and past volumes. So very touching, so very beautiful. I felt a little bit iffy on the second half, and mainly because I feel like Kai is sort of pushing back against Uka and them and their friendship, but I really like how they're starting to ask the question of what is their relationship, what is their friendship, what do they mean to each other? And so I feel like maybe that is causing Kai not, I don't know if being scared is the right word, but he's definitely resisting. And I wouldn't say like in a romantic kind of way, but I love when Uka is like, yes, I am stubborn, I want to touch your heart, I want to be there for you, I am stubborn, I want to touch your heart. I really love this page. It was my favorite page of this volume specifically because I think we're seeing how she wants to be there for Kai the same way that he has been there for her all this time. So I feel like roles are going to be reversed in the upcoming volume. I'm eagerly looking forward to it. I just hope Kai doesn't stay in this stubborn place of like resisting their friendship, or it's being something more like, please don't. Please don't. Please move forward in a either friendship or a soon-to-be relationship in like romantically, because I'm here for either one. Just please let things be okay. This series continues to surprise me over and over, and that is Kimi Todoke From Me to You Soulmate. I had to reach out to my friend Charles, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this volume was so good. Volume 1 was very good, but it is still really shocking to read a manga that is from the point of view of Kurumi, seeing her insecurities, seeing how she struggles with her fears, with her uncertainties. It has been a wild emotional ride, and I'm very much here for it. And I'm just like, the misunderstanding that took place, like, oh my goodness, like, no. And then the ending, I was just like, what is this? Like, what is this? I need the next volume ASAP. Highly recommend this series. I don't feel like it surpasses Kimi Todoke. That's the GOAT. But this series is something special. It is something different. And I just never expected to love this series as much as I have. I am eagerly looking forward to the third volume because it has surpassed time and time again when I'm reading my expectations. And I'm just blown away by this vulnerability that's in Kurumi that she shows and expresses, and how she struggles really with self-loathing and whatnot. I mean, it makes Kurumi such an interesting and engaging character as the main heroine and not just as the rival. And seeing her struggles at the end really pulled on my heartstrings so very hard. And I'm just like, please, I'm gonna assume it's gonna have a happy ending because Kimi Todoke did, but I'm like, can we make it happen sooner? Because I really didn't expect the angst that is in this series. For a 3-volume series, the angst is pretty strong right now, but I'm here for it. It's been very, very good and would highly recommend this one as well. Now, when it comes to favorite manhwa reads, and honestly, I think this was the only manhwa I read this month. Well, I mean, I read some of the digital ones, but easily, Volume 7 of Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. This was everything. This honestly rivals ultimately Queen's Quality in my favorite read of this month. This volume was everything. It was everything. I loved the beginning. I mean, it was pretty like hardcore, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please let everybody be okay. But the confessions that come out, the danger that is happening, the humor was so very strong. I mean, every single moment was perfection. Every page, every panel. There was not one moment I wasn't super invested and super engaged in what was happening. I loved it all, and I'm like, Beatrice, goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. You need to get off the page. You need to leave our leads alone. I'm not here for it. I ain't feeling what you're doing. And you need to leave Raeliana alone. You need to leave her alone. So hopefully that is exactly what happens in the next volume. I don't predict that to be the outcome. I predict things are going to get worse because now we have a new character that I'm like, I don't like what you're saying either, even though they were really funny when it came to one of the guards. That was really funny. I laughed quite a bit about that. But I'm like, don't be saying this negativity. Be gone. Be gone, negativity. We ain't here for this. We ain't here for this. So I am eagerly looking forward to the next volume. Continues to get better and better. Such a phenomenal and fantastic series. I mean, with that said though, this series is good, but it's definitely not as enlightening as that. And that is No Longer Heroine, Volume 7. Our main girl, Hattori here, she's having some good reflection, and I'm pretty impressed because, how do I say this? We all know Hattori is a hot mess. We all know this. If you've read it, you know this is a dumpster fire. But the thing that stood out to me is she's got this great boyfriend. He's great. He may have been a playboy. He ain't anymore. He's super loyal. He is super there for Hattori. He loves her very much. But Hattori is hung up on Rita. And she realizes this volume that she really is. And one of the things that she says is, anyway, Nakajima the fool here is like, you need to just admit it. You need to just admit what you're feeling. And Hattori's thinking, but even if you say that, facing the facts would mean that I'm absolutely awful. Hattori, yes, 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 it would be. Yes, it would mean you are pretty awful. I'll give her credit where credit is due. She's trying so hard. But the end. I think I know, I mean, yes, I know how this series is going to end. I looked it up before I even read Volume 1, so I know. But I think I have a very good idea of how this series is going to get to where it's going to get, because things happen at the end, and I'm just like, you know, this is why I'm just here for the ride, and I just take in these characters' choices and the really interesting decisions that they make. I feel like that's the best I can do, because if I'm not careful, I'm gonna give something away. But yeah, it's going down. It's going down. It's going down like numerous times. I mean, if I thought it already went down, things were super messy in this volume. It's about to get even worse. It's about to get even worse. So again, I'm here for the ride. I'm eagerly looking forward to the next volume, and I'll be seated to the very end to see how this series goes down. Next up I read is a shonen manga, which I guess is one of the other few that I'm actually collecting, and that is Bless Volume 2. Now I read this digitally and I loved it, and I enjoyed this volume, not as much as Volume 1, but I think the greatest thing is seeing our main guy pursue his dreams, seeing him be around people who are taking their dreams of being a makeup artist extremely seriously, and how that is affecting our main guy, and how it is pushing and compelling him to want to give more of his all. That is why I really love this series. And I feel like there was a little bit of a changing in this volume, because we're seeing that. We're seeing him personally realize, this is what I want to do. He won the beauty pageant, or not wasn't a beauty pageant, was it a beauty pageant? But he won the thing in high school, you know, with this girl here, who was not making as much page time, which left me really sad. I'm hoping she comes back Volume 3. But he won that, and their lives changed for the better. But it was like, okay, are we just going to stay here, or are we going to move forward? And so I feel like this is a transition of sorts, where they're like, okay, we now have a new course or a new path in front of us, and we have to make a decision if we're going to walk it, and it's going to be hard, and it won't always be easy, but there's people that are growing with them and pushing them to give their all. I'm very much looking forward to the Volume 3 because of that. I think I have mainly read, I think I've only read maybe a few more chapters past this volume, and then it'll all be new content for me. So I'm very excited, did enjoy it, not as much as Volume 1, but still a very strong second volume. This was so cute. Oh my goodness, this is one of the cutest things I read this month, and that's Volume 6 of I'm Giving the Disgraced Noble Lady I Rescued a Crash Course in Naughtiness. Alan is adorable. Alan and Charlotte, where they at? Right here. Their date, beautiful, amazing. I loved every moment. This was a blast to read. I loved them. It has been, again, just a blast. Super fun. Things with these two were hilarious. I was like, I didn't expect that to unfold the way it did, but I really love them. This is such a beautiful found family kind of story. Very proud of Charlotte and how Alan has just been there for her, not just romantically, but as a friend. He is supporting her every single step of the way, and the small, brave steps that Charlotte's taking. I'm so proud of her, and I'm like, girl, I'm in your corner. I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering for you, and I really hope only good things are in store for them as a couple, because they're way too cute. They're way too adorable, and their moments that they have were so precious. Like, I was literally squealing and kicking my feet because of how much I love this volume. But I really just hope that that Charlotte's dream that she has, that it comes to fruition. I have no doubts that Alan's gonna help that happen, but we're in a different place, and I think we're about to meet somebody, well, we did meet somebody that's new related to a certain character, and I'm like, okay, What is going to happen next? I don't really know, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. I have some ideas based off of future covers that I've seen, but I'm here for it, continuing to deeply love this series and would highly recommend because it has been a very fun adventure with a lot of heart and a lot of humor and so much found family vibes. Next up, I am a little sad to talk about this one, and that is Usotoki Rhetoric Volume 8. I don't know, I feel very sad because Volume 6 I think was my favorite read in either January or February, and the last two volumes I have just not connected quite the same way. Why that is, I don't know. Have I thought the volumes are bad? No, but I just feel like I'm not feeling the same kind of excitement I had before. I know that I'm not a fan of Selma's brother, period, and I know that definitely has affected my enjoyment a lot, especially in this volume. So I feel like it's a little bit unfair to say that because it's just a character, and he did sort of low-key redeem himself by the end, and we had a new mystery, and that new mystery was very, very good, very compelling. I've reread some of the previous volumes, or like skim read them, and I love them so very much. It's just been the last two volumes. It just wasn't my favorite. Really hope that I like the next volume a lot more because of how much I've enjoyed previous volumes. And I feel bad because if my friend Fire is watching this, I didn't super love this volume, and that's Rainbow Days Volume 1. I read this on Mark's live stream. I liked it. I did like it. And I will say that I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if this guy here with his weird kinks was not in it, because he ultimately was the factor of why I didn't fully love this first volume. Our hero, our main hero, sweet as can be. Sweet as can be. I loved him. And this guy right here, oh yeah, I'm on that ship for him and his girlfriend. They have like the grumpy sunshine kind of relationship. Loved it. Loved both of them. And I don't even mind the Playboy. The Playboy guy, he's okay. I don't have really any issues with him. It was just that other guy when he was talking like, you know, do you need a whip or doing this and that? And it really pulled me out of the story, and I'm just really sad about it because I think this was a really interesting story, and I love like how we just had all of these guys' perspectives. That was such a blast to read, and how different they all were. Like, it was very easy to know like whose point of view it was, and it's mainly from his, but when there's like side conversations between characters when he's not there, I mean, you definitely, sorry, I lost my train of thought. My kiddo lost his tooth, but they're all really different. So this wasn't bad, but that one guy, I just did not like him. I do want to actually read on the app though, because I don't want to drop this series, because I'm like, even though I didn't like that guy, I really did love the characters as a whole, and very curious to see like where the story would go, especially with him and his girlfriend. I'm like, I'm seated for you, buddy. And our main guy, who was just, he was a precious little bead, and I'm like, why are your friends so mean to you? You're too adorable. So it was a good read. It was not my favorite, but I do want to continue this one as well. This next one was so wholesome. It's been on my TBR for so long, and I'm like, why did I leave it on there? And that is Volume 3 of My Sister the Cat. This was beautiful. I cried at the end, got very emotional. It was very touching and just a very sweet conclusion that really addressed if our human here, is he really part of the family in this family of cats, and the struggles that he's had with that, and how people are always like, oh, are you and Neneko are just friends, when no, they're like, we're brother and sister, and how they just came together as a family by the end. Very, very moving, very touching. This is easily one of my favorite cat manga I've ever read. I haven't read a lot, no, but I do feel like there's something very precious about this, and I was really excited when I tweeted about that on Twitter, that the creator responded to my tweet and retweeted it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just want them to know that I was very touched by this, very moving and emotional, but very fun and sweet at the same time. I eagerly look forward to coming back and rereading this again. Definitely one of the best influence pickups from my daughter, because she loves cats and has always wanted me to get cat manga. This was a huge hit and a huge win for me. Oh man, this was really good, and that's Reliving My Life with the Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me, Volume 1. The art is stunning, breathtaking, beautiful. I was really amazed by our main girl here and how strong she was, and her perseverance of her boyfriend doesn't remember who she is. Everything she's doing to try and be there for him, to protect him, and just hopefully have him remember who she is, or if he doesn't remember, to at least fall in love with her all over again. It was a very beautiful first volume, and definitely looking forward to the second one, and I hope that there's not as much heartbreak or as much angst, because oh my goodness, that was a lot to take in, but very good. This was amazing. I read it twice, and that's A Sign of Affection, Volume 9. So I did mention when I read Volume 8 that I didn't love that volume, but I gave it 5 stars because it was amazing to see each Itsuomi go to Yuki's parents and them have like an active, ongoing conversation about them living together, like Yuki and Itsuomi living together and their relationship. And I love this volume because it feels so refreshing. Like the series as a whole honestly does. I do feel like this brings something fresh to the table of shoujo in this sense. Outside of Daily Report About My Witch Senpai, this was like the first manga that vividly comes to mind where our leads are actively apartment hunting, of getting to know each other, and that they tell things to one another of like, on our days off, let's make sure that we eat together. And I love when Itsuomi is like, even if you're mad at me and I'm the last person you want to see, let us still go to sleep side by side at the end of the day. I thought that was very sweet, and I just thought that was, yes, romantic, but I'm like, that is like the foundation right there of having a strong relationship. And so I'm really loving where the series is going. And oh my goodness, the respect Itsuomi has for Yuki, dude deserves a gold medal, because I'm just like, bro, I was fully expecting things to go down and they did not. And I'm like, nobody has said, I've seen spoilers for that specific chapter. I'm like, nobody said anything about how respectful he is and how he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go sleep in the other room. I was like, Itsuomi, you go, buddy, you go. So great volume, read it twice, absolutely amazing. Continue to deeply, deeply love this series. It is peak. This past weekend, I don't know what was going on, but I had really bad vertigo and dizziness. It was very bad Sunday, like to the point where I couldn't even walk slowly. If I got up slowly, that I would feel like I was about to fall over. I think it was because the next day, that Monday, I was so congested, had ear pain. I was like, oh, I think I just had a cold. I think I had a cold. But during that time, because I couldn't watch anything, I couldn't go on social media because even like scrolling would make it super worse. I read volumes 1 through 4 of Nicola, I think that's how you say her name, Traveling Around the Demon's World. Again, volumes 1 through 4. This has been on my TBR. My friend Nutmeg recommended this to me after I read Rosie, I think last year, and it was so amazing. I love Simon. I love Simon, y'all. Simon right here, best boy. Oh my gosh, he is amazing. But I had so much fun reading this. Found family so strong with this series as well. I think if you like Rosie, you want something that's less, I don't know. I feel like Rosie has more paranormal vibes to me for some reason, and this one has more fantasy vibes. I don't know what I can compare it to, but I loved all the little ghosts that show up and how our main girl just had this really positive outlook, and Simon just putting up with all of the shenanigans. Oh my gosh, though, in volume 4, I cried. I'm laying in bed and I'm just like trying to keep the blanket up against my eyes so I catch my tears, because I was like, oh my goodness, it was so sweet and it's so beautifully. I really love this. Definitely looking forward to rereading this again. And last but not least, I read this last night and it was so good. That is volume 2, The Villainess's Guide to Not Falling in Love. Fantastic and strong sequel to the first volume. I've reread the first volume 3 or 4 times. I loved it. Reread it a little bit even before reading this one. I'm like, fantastic. It's perfect. This exceeded, or at least it's on the same level of enjoyment. Oh my goodness. And all the scenes with the Black Lily at the beginning, my heart was feeling so fed. I was like, girl, I'm shipping you so hard. I just need y'all to be a thing already. I don't know how I feel about this guy. He is one of the new love interests and I don't dislike him, but I'm like, dude, you're not the Black Lily. I really do like the brother a lot and how he has, I was a little bit iffy of him volume 1, but he's really proven himself to me in this volume. And so I'm like, I love him as well. I'm like, they're both great. There is a new guy that shows up at the very end. Very curious about this dude. I'm like, who are you? And are you good news or bad news? But this volume was fantastic. The art was beautiful as always. There was definitely less action, but a whole lot more mystery. More questions are being asked. I'm here for it. Definitely one of my most anticipated series of like new releases. Can't wait to read volume 3. It was a very strong way to wrap up my month of July with reading. Loved so many different things. Like, so it's very hard to choose a favorite, but Ultimate Queen's Quality I think won. But man, I love so many things and can't wait for the next volumes to release. But I would love to hear from you friends. What are some manga or manhwa or other books that you read last month? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!